Hello, everyone. I'm Captain Logan, and for some reason, my co-host is not showing up on the screen here. Hang on, I gotta fix that. How did I not catch this in the first place? Apologies, everybody. Let me get John in here. John's gonna chat with me and mod for a few minutes. So tonight we're gonna do a real quick. Little Captain Logan special. I'm calling this a Captain Logan show special. Hi, John. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. Feels like the appropriate day for Marvel news, considering that they just had a big movie come out.
It sure does, and that it was the same day that you and I happened to see said movie.
Yeah. And we will talk about that on Monday. I'll be there for a little bit.
We will, yeah. So no Deadpool spoilers tonight. We're not going to talk about that movie in any capacity. We both saw it. We're going to have a big panel on Monday to talk about that. Very excited to get into that with you guys. We're not going to do any kind of a non-spoiler review before that. I kicked around doing that. But anyway, originally the plan tonight was just to do a little blind commentary marathon on Ben 10, which we're going to do right after this. But this news dropped just before we were about to stream, and I went, you know what, screw it. We're going to talk about this for a few minutes. I don't think I can wait till Thursday. It's so crazy and mad, and nobody could have possibly seen this coming, of course. We just got word from San Diego Comic-Con, and John just let me know we actually got a couple of big drops that I didn't even know about the second one until just now. So we'll talk about both these things real quick. But the big thing, this is a Variety article, but this just happened at San Diego Comic-Con. Robert Downey was on stage in, of all things, a Doctor Doom costume, because he is...
Oh my god.
What? He is, spoilers, set to return, but not as Tony Stark like we expected, but as Victor Von Doom in Avengers Doomsday. The new title is Doomsday, so they have pivoted hard, just complete 180 from what that movie was originally supposed to be. It was Kang Dynasty. We had that title for the longest time, and after what happened with that actor, I speculated real hard that they wouldn't even recast Kang, but that they would or like maybe they would, but he would be in a much smaller capacity, but his name at least wouldn't be the title of that anymore. And even if that character is in that to any capacity at all, they've shifted now to a completely different villain. And there's been a lot of rumors that Robert Downey was going to come back at some point, maybe not until Secret Wars, but eventually, and that you would probably get him and Chris Evans as Captain America again. And the rumors were true that Downey's coming back, but not necessarily that he's playing Tony Stark again, although this does not preclude the possibility, of course, naturally, of him playing a Tony Stark variant by the time we get to Secret Wars. Certainly.
Well, and one thing that we need to clarify just from the offset is he is not coming back as a Tony variant that is Doctor Doom.
No, it is straight up Victor Von Doom.
This is Victor Von Doom. Because I've seen a lot of people saying that, why is Iron Man connected to Doctor Doom? And it's like, but they're not. It's just the actor.
He's not. They've just decided
which
that's...
Marvel has precedence of doing. Like, we have 3 Spider-Man actors that have been in the MCU playing the same character, but they look different.
Yeah. So you mean that there's precedent in the weird multiverse they've made where different... Is that what you're saying?
Where, yeah, like, you can have an actor that can play multiple roles, or... Not like every version of a character doesn't have to look like the MCU version.
Yeah, it doesn't have to look the same, but this is different. That's not exactly precedent for this. This is there is a Victor Von Doom that looks exactly like Tony Stark. That's kind of the opposite of what you're saying, and now they're getting into the weird like Arrowverse territory. Where Arrowverse would do
it's very Brandon Ruth.
Where
Superman.
Where you would have an actor that would play multiple. Yeah, well, Brandon Routh was like that. You also had it with his name's not coming to me right now. The guy who played the '90s Flash, and then he starts out in Flash as Barry Allen's father, John Wesley Shipp. He starts out as Flash's father, and then he also is playing the the original Flash, because we bring that in, and so you have and then he's even the '90s Flash, and then he's even Jay Garrick in another universe. So this is like this is kind of feeling like that, where you've got one actor that's just popular enough they decide to give him multiple roles, but in the same multiverse.
Mm-hmm. I also think that with it being Doom of all people, like, because Doom historically doesn't really take off his mask all that much, you can do this in a way that it's not distracting. But I also think like, for me personally, I also don't
think they will do that. I mean, we'll see, but the idea that they cast. Now, I have had no time for this to percolate. I just found out about this, so I'm speaking right off the top. Think of this as like a reaction video. I'm speaking right off the cuff, and these are the first thoughts in my head, and I could completely change my mind later. But right now, my feeling is, they're not going to cast their biggest heavy hitter, the guy that made them so much money at the beginning that they've had to pay enormous sums of money every time he's been in a movie, and not give him actual real face time. And if they do that, I will respect it up the wazoo. I would be really impressed with them to cast Robert Downey just because they want to work with him again, and they think that he could be menacing as Dr. Doom, and you'll maybe recognize the voice. Even that, I'm sure, will have some kind of effect on it, being inside of the mask. And then you don't see his face, or you don't see it very often. And when you do, it's mangled and messed up. And so you're right. Maybe it won't be distracting, but I'll be really surprised if it isn't a little distracting.
Well, the obvious compromise there is he plays both Dr. Doom and Iron Man, right? Like, he gets the FaceTime as Iron Man. So as Dr. Doom, he doesn't have to take off the mask, and you can use like voice modulation.
Yeah, but I would be really surprised if he's also Iron Man in that very same movie. I would think that they would save that for Secret Wars, but who knows?
But Doom is going to be in both.
Well, that's true. That's true, but I'm just talking about with this first movie. But you're right. Like, maybe with this first movie, if we get really used to him as Dr. Doom, then by the time he comes back and is also playing Tony Stark, if that happens, we'll just have all accepted it and gotten used to it. But can we just back up for a second and just talk about how kind of shocking and counterintuitive this is? Like, it's really, initially it sounds way out there. Like, nobody could have predicted that.
So no, this is definitely not on my bingo card. So I'm kind of in the middle. Like, I don't think this is terribly great news or terribly bad news. However, as I've talked about it, I think it's potentially interesting. My big thing is Kang just wasn't working. We needed to do something. Yeah, maybe it's the wrong casting, but I would have to see it before I can determine it's the wrong casting. And we know that it's a variant, so this is not going to be like the MCU Doctor Doom.
Well, do we know that for sure?
It's not the main universe's Doctor Doom. So,
right, but hear me out for a second. I don't even know if there is a Doctor Doom in the prime, MCU continuity. What I'm wondering is if this is their main Doctor Doom, because their main Fantastic Four will also come from another universe. We know that their Fantastic Four movie is a 60s period piece that absolutely has to happen in a different universe. And either they're going to come over to 616, or after Secret Wars, they're going to soft reboot and converge some universes, which is, if I had to put $500 on it, that's the most likely thing that will happen, especially leading with Doctor Doom, because as I've talked about before, that's the character that reimagines the universe in his own image in modern Secret Wars in 2016.
Mm-hmm. And so right now they are all about adapting modern stuff, for better or worse.
I'm also wondering if some of that choice is kind of like a cutesy thematic thing, right? Where like Tony Stark saves the universe and brings back half of the population that was destroyed by sacrificing himself, and then a guy that looks just like him in Doctor Doom recreates the universe to save the MCU.
I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, and I mean, I think the potentially most exciting part about this is just I'm confident at this point Secret Wars is going to be a soft reboot of some kind.
Oh, I am too.
Or a hard reboot. Yeah. Which means, like, I don't hate No Way Home, but that means that we can get back to basics with characters like Spider-Man. We can do more Iron Man stories now if we bring him back in this resurrected timeline with a new actor.
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, even if this Doctor Doom isn't good or like turns out to be a mistake, it will open up the possibilities later down the line.
Yeah, my feeling, at least at the start, when you say you're somewhere in the middle, like I don't even know how to process it yet. I don't even know how to judge it as a choice. And obviously, as I always say with this stuff, I've got to see it before I can really make a judgment call. But just as far as like trying to guess at their motivations or PR, like what it looks like for them, I if it if Downey turns in a great performance and he's scary and menacing and he makes us forget all about Tony Stark, it will absolutely work for them. If they can make this counterintuitive of an announcement of a choice, shock everybody, and then have a lot of naysayers that go, well, that's just preposterous. Like, why would you even do that? It sounds gimmicky. It sounds like you're desperate. They've been making some choices lately that make them seem a little bit desperate, and sort of like they're just trying to get attention. You know what I mean? They're starting to look like that popular kid that I like. Was in finally the school play where he sucked and everybody ignores him after that. Now they're like begging everybody to pay attention to them again. I think a lot of people are going to look at this that way and be like, they're just begging for attention with this choice. And then if it's great, we'll all turn around and go, okay, no, they were right in the first place. That's wonderful. And so if they stick the landing on it, it'll be fine for them. But in this moment, can we say it maybe looks a little desperate? I don't think you'd be wrong for feeling that way.
I don't think so either. I think where I differ from a lot of people that I've talked to about this in a couple of discords that I'm in is I don't view their desperation as necessarily a bad thing. I think they've hit rock. I don't want to say hit rock bottom because I haven't hated the more recent movies as much as everyone else. Like obviously there's some worse ones than others.
They have commercially relative to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
can they sink further? Sure, but have they hit their rock bottom so far? Yeah, I mean they've they had their biggest dud last year.
Yeah, and I mean I think at this point we could confidently say at least someone is aware of that. So I think that this at least tells me that they are aware and taking steps. But a title card and a casting choice, in my opinion, is not enough for me to have like a negative or positive reaction.
Yeah, it's just it being that particular actor. I certainly have reservations, and I certainly think it does initially kind of wreak a little bit of desperation. And just on a personal note, I don't love the idea of even in a multiverse of there having a really popular, recognizable actor like this playing multiple iconic roles.
Mhm.
I it's just it kind of breaks my brain a little bit with the idea of a multiverse. I'd love, except for when you want to do like female versions of male characters and things like that. By and large, I'd like to see the same actors playing characters across the board. But then we opened it up to. We did that CW thing where we said everything that's ever been on screen for Marvel counts in this multiverse. So now we've had a precedent bringing in actors from other movie franchises that we had before, and sometimes playing characters that we already had in the MCU. And so if you see that as damage, the damage is already done there. So I don't really feel as strongly about it as I used to. That's just what we're doing with this universe, and I try not to be a prude about it. It's just I love some consistency with that, and I don't think the MCU knows. They've been fast and loose. They don't really know what their rules for their multiverse is any better than they know what their rules for time travel is. And we won't get into spoilers with Deadpool, but that does continue with that movie. And I guess I just have to accept it and hope that at least some cool, fun stories are told with it, because it's not going to always make sense. They've made that crystal clear.
Yeah. Well, and like I mean at the very least, like I mentioned, Avengers Doomsday is infinitely more exciting to me just on the possibilities.
Oh, don't get me wrong,
Kang.
me too, because the Kang thing was really dull to me and was introduced in
Mhm.
a bad movie, and like Majors wasn't bad in that role. However you feel about the man in his personal life or whatever, but that actor, he was fine, but I just thought their whole take on that character was real uninspired. Starting in
Mhm.
Loki, His introduction was weak. Then his movie introduction was weaker. And it's just hard to get excited about. Oh, a whole bunch of variants of this guy I was lukewarm on in the first place. And forget Downey for a minute. The announcement that the villain for the next Avengers leading into Secret Wars, and that clearly being maybe even more of a two-part thing than Endgame was. Like who knows? But I imagine now it will probably feel that way, much more like a big two-part movie, even over Infinity War and Endgame. I'm definitely excited that that's their villain now. Absolutely.
If this is modern Secret Wars, the end of Doomsday is him breaking the universe and remaking it, right?
Or the end of Doomsday is he splinters it off into a bunch of separate realities that are on the same Earth with walls up between them, because that's what that series does. Meaning, yeah. And then. Oh, I see what you're saying. So then, yeah. So when you say remaking it, you mean you'd have Battleworld by the end?
Yeah, that'd be the ending of Doomsday, and then Secret Wars is putting it back together.
And we would explore it for a little while at the beginning of that movie.
However, the thing that Marvel really needs to be careful of is, because I think the biggest problem with Phase 4, other than just the writing hasn't been as good, is they're continuing to try to escalate it. But there's like a ceiling that like we can just comprehend on film. This needs to be the like capstone, and then we need to go back to basics.
And Fantastic Four is a really good way to go back to basics. Mm-hmm. Of course,
well, I think it's weird because
I know we're gonna get that movie before it, but I think that could really kind of establish something of a tone and a mission statement, like for what they'll do moving forward. I still wish, and I've said this a lot, and of course this isn't what they'll do, I still wish that Fantastic Four was coming after Secret Wars, and that it was the real reboot, and we were just taking it all back to period pieces, and then gradually we would catch up to present day. That's what I wish they were doing, and that would just be
cool.
Wonderful.
And we still don't know who the villain of Fantastic Four is, unless I've forgotten something.
We know Galactus is there. We don't know if there is a more human villain. But we know.
So I do wonder
Galactus
if we start to set Doom up there.
I would be really surprised if we don't, and if you don't see Downey in the after credits. Like
that's totally what they do, right?
That's almost certainly what they do. Yeah. So when you say he's not, let me go back to that original point you made, because in a way I think you're wrong about it. When you said Doctor Doom is not or Downey won't be, he's a variant, he won't be MCU Doctor Doom. I don't think MCU has a Doctor Doom. I think he will be the Doctor Doom from this new Fantastic Four universe, and he'll come over with them, or he'll be part of this remade universe. Because we don't have really a Fantastic Four in 616. I don't think we have a Doom either. It's also really silly that what Loki and Deadpool now refer to as the Sacred Timeline is a universe that does not include the Fantastic Four. So goofy.
So I mean, I have questions about that. I guess we're going to kind of get into the logistics of the Marvel multiverse. But my main thing, because like I know the broad strokes of what they've done with the Fantastic Four, like the casting, and the information that came out today that we'll talk about a little bit later. But have they confirmed that this is an alternate universe? Because I may have missed that.
Let's go ahead and read down this article, because we just found out about this, and I've skimmed it. I haven't actually got to read much of this article. Because all I know is it's
a period piece, so I don't know
you're talking about... I'm sorry, for Fantastic Four. Well, we know it's a period piece set in the 60s, and it sounds pretty stylized, and I don't know if they've full-on confirmed it's not in 616, but how the hell could it possibly be?
Well, because my hang-up with them with saying just instantly that it is another universe is that in Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange knows of the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
So they had to have been something in the 616.
You're saying our Doctor Strange is aware of the Fantastic Four?
Yeah, I don't remember he has that line. He has that line to Reed Richards. What is it now? But no, he mentions something about like, weren't you like a boy band or something like that? I could be misremembering, but like he references knowing of the Fantastic Four, if not maybe not knowing them personally. I think you're
reading into that. I thought that was just a joke where like the joke was
I thought it was too, but now we have a Fantastic Four in the 60s.
Yeah. Fantastic Four, Fab Four. I think that was a Beatles joke. I think that's all that was.
I mean, I don't necessarily disagree, but I think it's interesting that right after that we have a Fantastic Four movie that's set in the 60s.
I'll check real quick while we're still broadcasting about this to see if there's any like full on confirmation of that. But
oh, okay. So my bad. It is just the new chart in the 60s. Sorry, I thought he referenced something directly about them. So yeah, ignore me. But
yeah,
I hadn't seen anything about it being a different universe.
Yeah, I don't know if that's full on confirmed. That it's been like we've all been talking about it like that because I just don't see what else we could buy, and because it's part of the multiverse saga, and it's one of the last things they're doing in the multiverse saga. How would they even do an FF in 616 that nobody knows about? That's like so like it's a secret Fantastic Four, and then what is it? Is it a time travel thing like Captain America, where they bring them to the present? Like, there's no way it's not an alternate universe. The whole point of doing it in as a period piece would be you can't do it now. It doesn't make sense.
I mean,
yes, this is an assumption I'm making, but what else is it gonna be?
I mean, it could be something like with Captain Marvel, where because it's a prequel, they get trapped somewhere or go off somewhere at the end of that movie, and then because we know they're going to be in the new Avengers movies, so maybe like whatever universe they're trapped in becomes embroiled in this fight. Like just speculating.
Yeah, okay. I'm not seeing any direct confirmation about it, so I guess all we can do is speculate. And I guess it's possible that it's 60s 616. Okay, here's what it could be. It could be it's 60s 616, and they use that to world build a little bit more from that period. And then the Fantastic Four get their powers, and they start to get established, but they're not public yet, and people don't know about their powers. And then they get sucked into another universe or a timeline or something.
Yeah.
And then they live, or maybe the negative zone. I mean, there's a lot of different things it could be. And then they come back in present day for some reason, and it ends up being an out of time thing to harken back to Captain America.
Yeah.
So yes,
and we know now that
I guess we don't know that for sure. I will concede this point. Except I'm right, and they will be from another universe.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I think that's probably the best way to do it. And then we know that the title is the Fantastic Four First Steps, which
yes, that's the
could be kind of a meta title, like with Spider-Man: Homecoming, or it could be like maybe with this being the '60s, maybe it's like about space.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I feel like there's a missed opportunity with that title. I don't think immediately my initial reaction, again, I just heard this 10 minutes ago. My initial reaction to that is it's not a great title. But I like the clear, obvious thematic idea there, and maybe a double entendre where like it's the Fantastic Four's first steps. I kind of like the word "first" in the title, given that the FF is supposed to be the first family. So like getting ahead of that and going, no, we have reverence for this team. We just couldn't use them while Fox had it, and we want to retroactively try to make them as important and influential as they should be. So I like that about it. But if you're going to set it in the 60s, why on earth, and especially with Reed Richards as a scientist and they're pushing envelopes for technology, why on earth would you not go to a moon landing place and call it One Small Step? That sounds like the right title to me if you're going there, but I haven't seen the movie yet. Maybe
they're starting filming Tuesday, so I'm sure we'll start to get more information. Probably, at least the very least, I think we'll start to see some set photos that might give us some more clues.
Tom put in a $5 super chat and says they start in the main continuity and get trapped in an alternate. He just says alternate, but I guess he means dimension instead of the storm or the negative zone. Yeah, I mean that's what I was talking about earlier, that it could just be they get sucked into another universe or something. That's kind of the ultimate way to do it. That's the Fantastic thing, is that it's a really boring nothing alternate dimension instead of a instead of being out in space or on a planet or something.
And then Christian Ogden sent in a $4.99 super chat. I'm officially done with the MCU.
Yeah, thanks.
This reeks of pure desperation. I'm done.
And like I said, I imagine a number of people that are already feeling lukewarm or have lost interest in the MCU are going to see it that way, where it's like it's Downey. They're just screaming, "Look at us! Pay attention!" I think they could also win people over with it. Like, will it backfire on them and people won't go see it? Like, enough people won't go see it because it's Downey and because they don't think that that's what should be done with that actor, or that he should be finished, like some people felt with Hugh Jackman and Wolverine. No, it will make them money. It will absolutely make them money.
At the very least, like,
it's the Russos and it's him again. Well, yeah, more than that though, it will get people to go that have not cared in 4 years.
Yeah,
it absolutely will. Like, desperate or not, they are right that is a strategy. Is it a short-term strategy or a potential long-term strategy? That's more of the real point. Never mind whether we as fans, and I'm just speaking of us collectively, wherever you land on it, feel like there's any integrity in this decision. Because I imagine people that are upset about this is weird timing for anybody that's annoyed or angry about Deadpool and Wolverine, that Hugh Jackman said he'd never come back and had a wonderful send-off, and then he's in Deadpool and the Wolverine again, or now, and that's, a big, comedy joke movie making fun of all of that. Anybody that feels that way, that then on that same weekend hears, oh, and by the way, also Downey is coming back and he's playing Doctor Doom now, I imagine those same people will be very annoyed about this.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I just don't feel like we have enough information one way or the other. And like I said, desperation isn't necessarily a good or bad thing. It is just a thing that is happening. I also think right now it is a short-term plan.
Yeah.
The long-term effects will be what comes after Secret Wars. That's what I'm most interested in.
Again, and I don't mean to repeat myself, but if they're not super gimmicky about the presentation with it being Downey, and they don't tease us and mess around with us in the movie with oh look, it's all mysterious, he looks like Tony Stark, but for no good reason, and you almost don't even realize that that's who it is, then the only question is going to be, well, yeah, but couldn't 15 other actors have played that part? Why did you go with Downey if you are going to keep the helmet on him, or you're going to have him caked up in so much makeup you can't even tell it's him? Put an effect Thompson on his voice.
Yeah, Thompson in another super chat, $2. The alternate is Tom. Majority mutants like House of M. Well, and I mean, you talked about this on the last full Captain Logan show, but we've already know that their next big thing is going to be mutants.
Right.
And I don't think it's a coincidence that he said that right before this news dropped.
Right.
This is how we're going to get mutants into the MCU. We are going to either soft or just full on reboot and say mutants have been there from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, I would be surprised if it was a full out on House of M sort of thing this early, but maybe they'll try to, again, be kind of cute about it, especially with the Russos there now, and do a sort of a reversal of half the universe disappearing at the end of Infinity War, where instead what happens this time is a bunch of new population shows up and they're all mutants. So now it's an overpopulation problem, and it's the very thing that Thanos was trying to prevent when he disappeared half the population. They could play it like that. They could try to connect it up thematically real hard with the last thing they made.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, I think if there's anyone that can work within the Marvel machine and still make a creative film, it's the Russos. They did it multiple times.
Let me read some comments real quick before we finish up here, and then we're going to come back in a few minutes after this and do a blind mini-marathon on a show I've never seen before, Ben 10, which was requested last week by Mutale. Yes, sir.
While we're here, do you also want to go over some of the Captain America details they released?
Is this just new stuff that dropped while we were talking, or...?
When I pulled up the title and was telling you about it, I noticed it, and then I was going to bring it up, and then we got into our conversation, so I forgot to.
Yeah, can I read a few comments real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Fella, I have some interest in the Fantastic Four period piece because that at least forces them to stylize it a bit. Yeah, absolutely. But the new Avengers announcements seem so desperate. Again, I've got real reservations with the Downey thing, and I think I'm going to feel funky about it even if it's great. I like just with that initial choice. I mean, I said earlier, like they could win us over on it, and we'll be like, okay, fine. But like that's even if I love it, I'm gonna go. I mean, yeah, but you really did that so that you could have a giant announcement and get people interested in it again, right? There's gonna be a part of me that's always gonna feel like that about it, I think, and I think maybe that's where me and John differ. Where the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm just wondering, just integrity wise, how I feel about that is even a place they decided to go. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, and see, stuff like that doesn't bother me. Like, if the actor's willing to do it and like they want to do it, I say go for it as long as you do it right. I don't know.
Well, clearly you're just a Marvel shill. That's
Yeah, Marvel. I'll take my check any day now. I If they want to pay me to say good stuff about their movies, I will happily take the money.
I also forgot to mention my whole thing with the title, and I thought of this as soon as I saw that, which is we've done a lot of commentary on this channel about amalgam, and the combination that we did in the mid '90s with Doctor Doom was with Doomsday, with Amalgam, when DC and Marvel emerged and they merged a bunch of their characters, and he was called Doctor Doomsday, and my brain exploded when I found out that they are making a movie called Avengers Doomsday and the villain is Doctor Doom. It's nuts. Like we got the word Doomsday in a Marvel movie title before we got it in a DC movie title, and it's with Doctor Doom, who merged with that character in the 90s.
Good title.
I can't argue with the title. It is a great title.
Better than the Kang Dynasty.
Yeah. No, it's much more exciting than that.
T.H. Thompson and another $2 super chat. Like good Ragnarok. I know Ragnarok.
What about it would be good Ragnarok? Just that it's Doomsday because Ragnarok's the end of the world. Oh, you know what?
It's not hard to be better than Ragnarok.
The title itself suggests the ending that you proposed.
Yeah.
That like, okay, it's Doomsday for the universe, and then he's gonna remake it. I'm also more excited about introducing Doctor Doom in this way because I friggin' love Doctor Doom recreating the universe. Like, I really liked that that event in the comics, and I have wanted them to do that, and so that part of it is very exciting. Story wise, like just what they've decided to adapt from, I'm stoked about that. However, I might feel about the choice for Downey.
They really
awesome.
want this to be their next like snap, right? Like,
yeah, but again, I think it's going to be iconic. They're going to be able to do that at the same time as a reverse snap, where it's going to be like, oh no, the universe is destroyed. And then when it all comes back at the end, then we have even more people now.
Well, and maybe that's where you get the like inherent dislike of mutants. Like, you know, you're taking resources away from like normal people.
Yeah. Brandon Hembry, it's going to be like Face Off, where he probably is another guy who gets to the MCU verse, puts on Stark's face because he's as smart as him and can blend in pretending to be him and cause havoc. I doubt very seriously if that's what they do. Especially with Marvel making a big deal out of, no, he's Doctor Doom, he's not related at all to Tony Stark. I don't think there will be a loophole. I don't think there will be an explanation as to why he's Tony Stark. I'm sure there'll be a cute joke about it somewhere, but I don't think they'll do a full-on explanation about it. And also, how much sense would it make for him to pretend to be a dead guy?
Yeah.
Because, you know, he's dead guy.
If Tony Stark is dead in this other universe. If it is another universe.
Sure, but I'm sorry, just the pitch that he what he was suggesting was Doctor Doom comes to our universe and pretends to be Tony Stark.
I missed that.
Isn't that what he was saying? Yeah, he says goes to the main MCU verse and puts on Stark's face, but Stark is dead. So I don't know what kind of sense that makes.
I would love if Marvel just made Doomsday like a remake of Face Off. That would be amazing.
Just sheesh, I'm not happy with this news. Very upset I'm not getting Victor Von Doom, but a Tony Stark variant. Again, they are claiming that's not what it is, and it's just that actor. But if you still feel that way, I'm not gonna judge it. I mean, I certainly understand that. Goofster, this might be the most desperate move they could have pulled.
Is it the most desperate?
Darren Root, Cap, you're saying the same thing for the guy that was mostly in an Iron Man suit. That's not even kind of true.
He also had his mask off for most of the time he was in the suit.
Yeah, Tony Stark gets lots of FaceTime. There are whole movies where he barely puts the armor on, or at least not for more than a couple of big action set piece scenes.
That's probably the biggest issue with some superhero movies. They have to give way too much FaceTime to the actors.
Ren Davis,
I love
just like their main Green Goblin is from another universe.
And this is how you get out of that. Now you can, if they do a soft reboot, you can do a Green Goblin again.
Yeah, that's true too.
I just want Spider-Man 4.
Mega Kitty, Downey as Doctor Doom is wild. I'm not a fan, to be honest. They really have to sell me on it. This feels like desperation for interest. I'm seeing more of that side of it than John's Marvel shill, everything they do is wonderful side.
Yeah, The Marvels was the best movie I've ever seen.
For anybody that needs me to explicitly state, I'm joking. I'm joking.
As am I. I didn't hate The Marvels, but it was not great.
Well, it sounds like, but that is a rousing endorsement compared to most people that couldn't even believe that I flipped my sign green.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it better than anyone I've talked to about it.
I enjoyed it. I don't know. I mean, it's not great or anything, and it doesn't hold up very well on a second viewing. But I still liked it. Okay.
I've seen it twice, and I didn't have an issue with it. I think it's a fun time. Have those three characters together.
Nicholas Bodo, do you think? And I think I liked all of them more altogether, or at least I liked Captain Marvel more.
Oh, we got DJ in the chat.
Hi, DJ. How are you, man? John stole your job. We're doing an emergency Captain Logan show. That's what I should have called it. Maybe I'll start doing that. If I ever come in with like just after we got new news like this, like breaking news like this, John, I'll call it an emergency Captain Logan show.
I will Facebook call you while you're streaming.
One reply. I can't help but feel a little embarrassed. This feels like a desperate attempt. That's the word of the night, folks. We're hearing it from everybody that's not John. No, from several people. Their most well-known actor is playing their most well-known villain ever. I don't know if that's true. Most well-known villain for...
Maybe amongst, like, comic book fans.
Yeah, when he said their most... I mean, I'm splitting hairs, but, like... The MCU's most well-known villain is Thanos. Yeah, it's absolutely Thanos. I'm splitting hairs, though.
Wow, and I mean, you could like open it to like the wider just Marvel movies, and I'd make a case for Green Goblin.
Why don't you go ahead and I didn't mean to talk this long, but we've got a crowd and a lot of people are have interesting comments about this. Mega Kitty, I'm going to use this as a transition so that you can tell us about those details for what you said, Cap 4.
Yeah.
He says sometimes. Let me do the segue, and then you can tell us those things. Sometimes movies can be saved in the edit. Hopefully, Cap 4 can be good. Those Cap movies were always my favorite. It always felt like they leaned into the genre of spy than any other Marvel movies with themes. And yeah, that's absolutely true. And as I've said before, I think it looks great just from that first trailer. But I am cautiously optimistic because I don't trust the writing team behind it after Falcon and Winter Soldier. So I'm hoping they learn the right lessons from that show, and that they learn the right lessons in kind of completely remaking the thing in the middle of making it. So yeah, wouldn't it be nuts? Sorry, wouldn't it be nuts if that show with that movie, as much turmoil has happened behind the scenes, coming out a year late, and being, as far as we've heard, kind of reshot from the ground up, or at least a lot of it's been reshot, rewritten. Wouldn't it be nuts if that is great, and then Daredevil is also great, because the same thing happened with that?
I think there's every likelihood that could happen. Because they were at least I followed Daredevil more than I did Cap because I just don't care about Falcon Cap.
Oh, boo.
It should have been Bucky. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, you're in that camp. Okay.
I am in that camp because I've read the Brubaker Captain America and it's great. Um,
Why didn't I call
were
DJ? Like, what?
They were able to at least identify what wasn't working, supposedly. So I think, and especially the Daredevil, I think that shows that they're taking great care to get these projects right. Because I've always said, if they mess up Daredevil, it's over.
It's over.
Like,
it's at least over for the TV side.
Yeah. No, for the movies, it will be X-Men. If they mess up X-Men, it's over.
FF and X-Men are really important. And especially now, X-Men is important because they put all their eggs in that basket. Because they've said,
well,
that's the next era. And era sounds even bigger than Saga to me.
It does. FF is important to, like, us. I don't know how important it is to, like, the casual moviegoer, whereas X-Men is a property people know outside of the comic book fans at this point. And, like, there's a standard there.
Let me tell you why I think it's more important than that. It's for a couple of reasons. First of all, I said they're putting all their eggs in the mutant basket, but some of that is also Fantastic Four because it really sounds like, especially with Doctor Doom being the big bad guy and the big story impetus for the next Avengers movies, that's going to be part of the groundwork for their soft reboot. I think Fantastic Four is going to be hugely important to their attitude and the reworking of what that world looks like. And secondly, I think Fantastic Four really matters because even though it's more important to comic readers than movie viewers who have yet to be convinced that can even work in live action, they are the last characters with the X-Men that people know about and have heard of and that still have some kind of iconic status that they haven't either done brilliantly and written out or kind of screwed the pooch on.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just think with, like, casual moviegoers, the FF's reputation is, like, in the floor, which is why I don't think for casual audiences that movie is as important as it is to, like, us. But I could be wrong. Like, I'm not, like, saying for 100%. This is what I fully believe. Just my initial thoughts. Whereas X-Men, like I said, because those Fox movies were so beloved, and then you just had X-Men '97, the stakes for that, the expectations for that are going to be much higher.
Oh, now I feel bad. DJ just came in to say that he is really upset about this news. He's very depressed, and he says he doesn't even know if he wants to come back to superhero movies over it.
Come back, DJ. There's plenty of good stuff in the works outside of Secret Wars.
Secret Avengers.
Yeah.
Pros and cons guide, $2. That is a thing. $2. I was never a big fan of the Fantastic Four.
Adam March is really mad at me.
That's hilarious. Some of that is, certainly a taste thing and ends up being probably about people's genre interests, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you gotta love pseudoscience, you gotta love science fantasy, that kind of stuff. Now, maybe you do and you just don't like FF. I mean, that's, about characters, but I don't mean to put words in your mouth. I just know that it's never been a for everybody kind of thing. Like, Fantastic Four is not as, like, widely accessible as a Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Certainly.
And I mean, I like Fantastic Four. I've been reading the Lee Kirby stuff in bits, and it's great. So I'm very excited for that movie. I don't disagree with you that will set the tone for, like, this upcoming reboot if that's what they're doing. But I just don't think the casual moviegoer will have high expectations going into it like we would.
That's not my point, though. When I say it's really important, I just think it's important that it doesn't suck. You know what I mean? Whatever the box office returns are, they're going to be building a foundation on it. So, like, it's got to...
It would be nice if it doesn't suck.
It's got to work. Anyway, go ahead and go through those details real quick if you would.
So, because I thought I knew at least, like, what we were in for from that trailer. Apparently, I don't.
Uh-oh. Does it sound off the rails already?
there's one thing that I'm like, really, this is where we're doing this. So the first thing is they're looking very closely at Winter Soldier because of course they are.
So Robert Downey is playing Red Hulk, even though Harrison Ford is
Yeah, that's why he shaved, because it was Robert Downey Jr. and then he shaved into Harrison Ford.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Celestials are in this movie, and they're made out of adamantium.
I had heard something about Celestials because I knew that there was, which is crazy. Like I don't know why.
That's
we're
the
getting
big thing that like blows my mind.
How are we getting cosmic with this? It looks like more Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
no, it looked like the biggest thing that would happen, and it was knocking down the White House. But no.
No, that's why I'm confused, because like I thought, just based on the trailer, it's very street level grounded until Hulk shows up, which I have many questions about. And now apparently there's Celestials in it.
Yeah, Feige said something about the Celestials because somebody asked him if there would be an Eternals 2, and he was like, nah, it didn't do well enough, not enough people care, but there will be Eternals references in Brave New World because we got Celestials.
We finally know who Giancarlo is playing. He is playing the King of the Serpent Society. So they're bringing that idea back.
They're bringing that back. Okay. Well, hopefully they retool it a little bit and it's, I don't know, not lame? How about it's not lame?
And then they just talked about like how when Harrison Ford's going to turn into the Red Hulk. So I won't go too deep into that because that sounds like more of a spoiler, potential spoiler. But it is I'm just curious what they're doing with that. Like, because this Cap doesn't have any superpowers. How's he going to fight the Hulk?
That is actually a terrific point. Yeah.
Well, no, because that was my first thing when watching the trailer. I was like, okay, this kind of looks cool. Like, I don't care about Falcon Captain, but like if it's good, it's good. And then Red Hulk showed up, and I knew that that's probably what they were doing.
Right.
And I was like, what?
How does he fight him?
How does he fight him?
A lot of people feel like it's crazy enough that he can even like lift and throw that shield as well as he does.
I mean, I had some major issues with that show. Like, that shouldn't be that easy for him to do.
Let's binge it. Let's do a live marathon on that.
Bye.
Anyway, did you find out anything else about that? Or was that everything?
That was the main thing. The main thing I wanted to bring up was the Celestials, because that kind of blew my mind.
Yeah.
Oh, and apparently Harrison Ford is really excited to be in the Marvel Universe, which also baffles me because he seems to hate like sci-fi franchises.
He's probably excited about the paycheck.
That's true.
It's weird if he said that because he has the same thing he does in a lot of interviews when anybody asks him about that stuff, where it's like, look, I'm not a comic book person. I don't know what anybody's talking about with any of these things. But then you got to wonder if when he was asked about Red Hulk, if he was just being coy when he was like, what's a Red Hulk? Because there's no way that making that movie, he doesn't know what Red Hulk is. It has to be a major component of that script.
No, so it's better than that. I didn't watch the video, but I saw it. Apparently he hulked out on stage for everybody. Like, he is all in on this for some reason.
Weird. Maybe he just had a lot of fun making it. But then you would think that he would be really frustrated about having to basically make the same movie twice.
You would think.
Crazy. Well, this is going to sound awful, but I also wonder if maybe he's got a different attitude about it after he was legitimately excited to do one more Indiana Jones, and that turned out the way it did. So it's like, I get to be in the spotlight with something that maybe people will like this time.
Yeah, I mean, I've always thought that he doesn't have the greatest eye for like quality in those projects. Like, he just does what he wants to do.
Yeah, that's true.
Because he's come back for Indiana Jones twice, and they both sucked.
They're both not good. Yeah. Thomas Lowe, you can't imitate his voice like Mark Hamill can. I wasn't committed. I've also never tried to do that voice.
What's a Force Ghost?
What's a Force Ghost? Yeah, I thought I'd put like a little bit of a cartoony spin on it, yeah.
No, but he's great casting.
An impression can be whatever you want it to be. I'm sorry, what?
He's great casting for Jenna Ross. Oh, and that's something else that I wanted to bring up. because there was something with recasting with the Marvel thing. Oh, because obviously this is the Kang thing is out because they just don't want to recast Kang. The Marvel recasting.
That's not the only reason. That's not the only reason.
It's one of the big ones.
No,
right?
no, it is, but they had to have been, if they're self-aware at all, if they're really looking at what's going on at all. Sorry, John, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
no, you're fine.
They have to also be going, boy, Quantumania didn't do what we thought it was going to, and it might not be real smart for that character's name to be the big thing to sell our next Avengers movie on, and this gives us an out where we don't have to make that now. I don't know.
That's true, but I just want to say, Marvel, please make up your minds with recasting. Like, it seems like they just throw it at a dartboard to determine if they want to recast or not, and it's driving me insane.
Yeah, look, you can call it a double standard, you can call it just like case by case, what have you. But you know, I guess if an actor that recently became a cultural icon dies surprisingly, we not only can't recast, but we have to almost retire the character in everything with the case of T'Challa. If it's an elderly guy that nobody was all that surprised died, that's not a big iconic character, and we need him for a plot that we were already kicking around, yeah, you can recast that guy, that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We've got a couple of super chats.
Let's hit those and then let's move on. John, are you still okay with even doing our other stream now, or?
Yeah, I'm. Like I said, I slept most of the day, so I'll be up probably all night.
Okay, all right, cool. Well, we are gonna do a mini marathon right after this. We might do 1 or 2 episodes less now. I don't know yet, but we'll get into it. We'll stream for at least an hour and a half.
That's up to you.
Looking at Ben 10, but we'll play it by ear. We'll see just how I'm feeling and what kind of crowd we get. But yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Josh says, I predict MCU Wolverine will be a descendant of Moon Boy's species based on the Adamantium news rooting Wolverine in something cosmic. I don't inherently like that idea.
So
I also don't know what Moon Boy is.
Yeah, so what is he referring to? Is there another piece of news that I've just not heard about yet? Because I haven't been keeping up all weekend. I literally found out about this right before we started broadcasting, and so I'm getting all my information from you right now. But what does he mean about rooting Wolverine in something cosmic?
Well, I'm assuming that he's talking about because they just confirmed that the Celestials will be adamantium.
Oh, I see what he's saying.
So maybe that's tied to that. I have not heard anything about Moon Boys, like, because they didn't announce anything until just today. So, like, everything that they've announced, we've now talked about.
Yeah, I don't even know
that I've seen
who Moon Boy is.
I'm assuming that's one of the Celestials. But I really don't want Wolverine to be tied to anything cosmic. Just make him a mutant that's experimented on.
No, then from the very start, you're treating him like the most important friggin' thing there is. And I don't
need... No, and the Foxverse already did that.
I don't need any more of that, folks. No, just let him be what he was. Also, when he says, I mean, look, predictions or whatever. Feel free to go as crazy as you want to. That it's not like that can't happen. But it's not like Wolverine is born with adamantium in him. Like, why would Wolverine be a descendant of a celestial being because adamantium is from space? He gets adamantium in him because of Weapon X.
Yeah, I don't know.
Why would he not be a mutant? Sorry, I'm thinking this out, and I'm like, I'm not sure how you got to that, Josh.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I'll scroll down here in a minute and see if he's followed up with that.
Josh just
Super
unsubscribed.
Billy.
I'm sorry, Josh. Super Billy, go ahead.
It's going to be incredibly awkward transitioning from Kang to Doom after so much setup. Do you think there any way it won't be incredibly contrived? But, like, what setup? He fought Ant-Man and lost.
Well, no, he means and I get his concern with that. He means the end of Quantumania, where it's like, oh, there's this huge legion of Kangs and they're a-coming. And if they're just out there and not doing anything when we've been with the Multiverse Saga setting up something big for them, I would need to see Loki season 2, which I just haven't sat through yet, to say if I buy that they've already written that off well enough, because I know he's in that show.
I can tell you right now, like there's nothing in that that completely writes Loki out, or not Loki, Kang.
Kang, yeah. Also, I think enough people don't care that they can kind of get away with dropping that thread entirely. I'm not saying they should, just for the sake of the overall narrative, and I wonder if they won't do something in that movie to drop it within the narrative. I also don't put it past them to do something really super lame, where like in the first 5 minutes they just find some easy way to get rid of them all or kill them all, like either off screen or just like a scene where they're all shown from space or behind or something. You kill them all.
Um, yeah, I mean, this is also the company that's famous for not paying off stuff. Um, like I know everybody talks about like the Marvel continuity, but like we have like probably three different Thanoses. They've never paid off the leader. I'm fine with them just dropping.
Well,
it.
he's coming back though. I think the leader finally is in Brave New World.
But how many years has it been?
Oh no, I know it's been a lot.
So they can do one of two things. Doom can just either wipe them
out. The
out.
difference is they treated Kang like the new Thanos, and imagine this had happened with Thanos.
That's true. So the way I see it, they have two options. One, revisit this like a decade later, the Kang thing, and just like pretend this didn't happen. Or two, Doom wipes them all out, and that's how you establish that Doom is like a big threat.
Yeah. Taken Spear says putting the adamantium in him.
In him. All right, we've got one more super chat, and then we can call it if you want.
I'm never, ever again going to say 20, 30 minutes. I really thought we could just hit this for... Well, I didn't expect the crowd we're getting and all the interactions, so appreciate you guys.
Yeah, what's up, Boston?
Sorry. RJ Moonboy is friends with Devil Dinosaur. That Moonboy, okay. Now I'm with you. I don't know anything about that character besides the fact that he rides around on Devil Dinosaur and has more recently been replaced with Moon Girl, who rides around on Devil Dinosaur and got her own cartoon show, which I've heard good things about but have not seen.
I'm completely in the dark on this one. Pros and Cons guy has sent in a $9 super chat. Is the leader in A Brave New World the same one as from Incredible Hulk movie? I mean, I would assume so.
I want to say it's even the same actor, but I would have to look it up.
I will fact check that right now.
I'm doing it too. We'll see which one of us can do it faster. Okay, so I made the mistake of just typing in Brave New World, the leader.
Same thing.
And I got, in Aldous Huxley's 1931 novel, Brave New World, Mustafa Mond is the most powerful leader of... That's not what I'm talking about. I'm looking into something far more commercial and less cerebral.
Yes, Tim Blake Nelson is coming back.
I thought he was briefly in the trailer. Pretty sure we see his face and voice there.
So this means that Hulk has to be in this movie, right?
I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that, but...
But how is he a fight? Leader? Sure, I believe that this gap could take on. But you're gonna need a Hulk to fight the Red Hulk.
Well, he could get a Hulkbuster. I would be surprised if Rhodey doesn't show up in that movie.
True.
Like, he'll probably get some help of some kind. I doubt he's taken that on by himself.
Yeah, and then Rhodey can be confused because he's been a Skrull for God knows how long.
Austin says, I don't think Leader is in the trailer, but I could be wrong. I saw the trailer on the big screen today, and I thought he was in there, but I might be mistaken. I thought maybe it was a like slightly different one where they added something. I'm not sure, but I thought I saw him in there.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Amazing Fantasy says
Red Davis says Leader is the one that says global power shifting.
That's what I thought. I just couldn't remember if we saw his face, but I thought for sure that he was in there somewhere. Okay, we're at an hour now for what was supposed to be a mini show. But hey, the show now is back to 2 hours, so it is a mini show. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and cap things off here. I'm sure we could speculate some more and have all kinds of fun discussions about this. But we promised a stream tonight for Ben 10 because Mutale won a Super Chat thing last week. So we're going to go ahead and honor that. We'll be back in about 15 minutes or so to tackle that for at least an hour, hour and a half. And appreciate you guys for joining us. And if you want to stay up late and hang out with us and watch what everybody's telling me is a fun cartoon show that was just past my time and I have not had a chance to look at, come hang out with us. It's going to be real laid back and fun and totally blind on my part. So I'm going to learn a lot of things from John, who I hope does a lot of talking. Because otherwise,
I'm sure I'll have enough to say because I've seen Ben 10 multiple times. Like I love this show.
Cool. I'm just gonna watch it, and then I'll occasionally, probably chuckle. That's my plan. Anyway, thanks.
My plan is to make this like the gateway to get you to watch the other like 4 series they did.
Yeah, because you said they do other shows that are better than the original.
I think so. Because they allow him to get a little bit older and like do darker stories.
Yeah. And you said that none of that's streaming now. You said Netflix only has the original now.
Netflix is the original. It looks like Cartoon Network has it, but it's like with ads.
Oh, okay.
So it'd be trickier to do.
Sure. All right, well, folks, we appreciate you. We're going to get going. Leave your comments after the fact about how you feel about this news. So far, we'll see what happens with it. What a wild development. Of the 115 things I thought they might do, this was not one. Now, the idea that Dr. Doom might be in that movie somewhere, certainly I thought of. But not that he would necessarily even be the main villain. And certainly not that he would be played by Robert Downey Jr.
I'm more curious than I was before.
Yeah, I could say that at least. Well, anyway, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see some of you here in just a few minutes. And in the meantime, I was Captain Logan. This was John. So nice of you, John, to take the extra time out to do this with me. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. I had a lot of fun.
Deadpool and Wolverine spoiler cast Monday night will probably be lengthy. We're gonna have a 5-man panel, and everybody I'm sure is gonna have lots and lots to say. We're gonna really fine-tooth comb it. So come on in with your questions and your feelings about it. Engage with us. It'll be a good time, and we'll see you.
I'll be there for about an hour.
Yeah, we'll have John for part of it. We'll make sure you get to go first with your sign flip, John.
Okay.
All right. Appreciate you guys. Bye, folks.